Food Service Power Plant Network. Yo, my friends, it's your favorite night of the week and mine, Monday night, because not only did you get through Monday, not just get through, I'm assuming you crushed Monday, but I know it takes energy to get those wheels moving again and build it all up. But now we're in Monday night. Now we get our weekly conversation with an industry leader, someone whose thought and engagement and relationships really do affect decisions we make as an industry and the culture and the vibe where we go. And tonight is no different. A couple of thoughts for you as you join us. If you are new, welcome. Super stoked to have you. You'll find this a pretty cool community of food service professionals who are committed to one another, supporting one another, staying positive, growing, all that kind of good stuff. And a couple of notes for you. If you want to comment along the way, you can always comment and you can always ask questions. And what we'll do is we'll pull up questions like this. This is the fake thing. But you can go to StreamYard/Facebook and we will see your name so that Chris and I can acknowledge you like David Maxwell did. Good evening, David. What's up, brother? So go do that and it'll be really fun. Secondly, tonight is all about growth. That's why we do these conversations. We pick the brain of someone we respect and who's left a legacy already in the industry. And there's always amazing nuggets of wisdom and of insight and of things I believe that are intended for you in your journey, wherever you are. Chris has walked in a lot of different shoes, and some of them might be shoes that you find yourself in. And so get a notepad and a pen just to make some notes, things that you can reflect on, study, think about, because I'm sure there's going to be moments that affect you in really cool ways. Kevin Coachman's on. Kevin, what's up, brother? I love it. Tonight we have Chris Jeens, who is with WD Colledge up in Canada. Chris is a good friend of mine. We became friends on the MAFSI board of directors back in 2017. And he walked with me as a friend, as a leader, as a confidant at times through my journey and my career as in ups and downs and all this kind of cool stuff. I put in LinkedIn and the Food Service Power Plant group that he might be the coolest person in food service. I stand by that. We're going to find out why tonight. It's going to be incredible. And he's just probably one of the kindest humans you've met. And it's going to be awesome. Let's go find the man, the myth, Chris.
Jason, thank you for that welcome. That is coolest person in food service is something that is going to be a challenge to live up to, my friend.
We're going to need a plaque, like a bust of you with coolest person in food. And I say that in a lot of ways. So here was my thinking, by the way, when I put that out there. Number one, I've seen you in karaoke and it's wicked. It's awesome. I've seen you play at the MAFSI conference, you and your band. And it was amazing. Not many people in food service do that. And coolest also in my experience, you're able to approach a lot of situations with a very cool demeanor. Not cool cold, cool as in calm. And very level-headed. And it's like, if I came to you with like an ocean wave crashing, you would find a way to be like, you know what, I got some floaties. We're going to figure this out together, Jason. And when we would float to the top and it'd be great. So that was my thinking behind it. And
very nice.
It's all you. Sandy says no pressure at all.
None.
Eve says hi to Chris. Eve Coachman says hi, Chris.
Hi, Kevin and Eve Coachman.
Love it. Look who's in the house. Allison Cody is in the house. Simply said done. I don't know what done means here, but that's incredible that she shows up and says done. I love it. Brian Wood, looking forward to the interview. I'm now humbly the second coolest guy in food service. Chris is the coolest. I love it.
Yeah, well, the rankings change, Brian.
It's evolving. It's an evolving scale.
Yeah.
Chris, let me just start by saying thank you for joining us, number one. Number two, thank you for your role in my life. You and I became friends and got to know each other actually before turbulence started in our life, which, health stuff here. And you were unbelievable to me in listening and guiding. You've shared a meal with Shannon and I've got to share a meal with you and Julie. I just feel really grateful, and I feel lucky to call you a friend. So we're going to have a lot of fun tonight.
I will reciprocate on all of what you just said, Jason. Getting to know you has been a privilege, and what you're doing here is phenomenal. So congrats
Awesome.
for all of this.
Thanks, buddy.
Thank you for having me. Very kind.
Heck yes. Someone misses hearing you play. I should look down and see who that is, just so that I can. Let's see. I'm going to go in. I'm looking at my phone, not to ignore Chris, but to see who's here. Oh, that's Lauren Joel. Lauren misses hearing you play. Ramsey is in the house. Tom Mitchell. Tom Mitchell, what's up, buddy? So good.
Just
Chris, for those
friends start top to bottom. Wow.
This is awesome, man. You got a lot of fans. For those who don't know your story and or your background, tell us your career journey. You are a partner at WD Colledge up in Canada, a rep firm in Canada. Rep firms in Canada work a little bit differently than in the States. And I think you cover the whole country, yes?
We do. And that's the difference. It's a little bit of geography.
Yep. Yeah, just a little bit, a few square miles. And so tell us, what's your career journey up until this point where you find yourself now in the industry?
So no secret, and like many of us in the industry, Jason, there's relative ability, and I am the son of Neville Jeens, who I'm proud to call my father, but I'm also proud to be known as Neville's son by a big facet of this industry. People that have been around for a lot of years are very familiar with my father. And what a lot of people don't realize is that Neville married the boss's daughter, and that WD Colledge is Bill Colledge, my maternal grandfather.
Oh.
And so that's see, my folks are on now, I can see.
Oh, is that Gretchen?
So the business has been running since my grandfather started in 1953. So a lot of years of coverage of brilliant brands across Canada, and the company's grown. I have a myriad of colleagues that are just incredible, and we've done some pretty amazing things this year. So my journey to this day means that I've had the privilege of being a part of this company for over 25 years and hope to double that. And that would be a cool thing. Julie might say I should retire before that, but we'll see.
You guys will work that out. You'll work that out.
Figure that out.
What is it? First of all, you've got Brian says Neville is an incredible man and one of my mentors. That's really fun.
Yeah, thank you for that, Brian.
I saw on your website your dad had his bio, and he talked about like growing up with John Candy, the former comedian. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They lived next door to one another when they were young.
So cool.
Yeah.
Was your dad the MAFSI president at one point?
He was. And he was the president, Jason, back in 2001. Well, really, he was the president in 2002. And I still remember the MAFSI conference in 2002 came on the heels of what happened at 9/11, and it was a pretty impactful thing for Neville to be standing in front of the whole MAFSI group and speaking to everyone when the time was what it was then. It's certainly one of my most proudest moments as Neville's son. So yeah, and he was the first Canadian member really of MAFSI, I think, and then absolutely the first Canadian president of MAFSI. So. Wow. And followed by some other good friends.
Yeah, there have been some great ones out of Canada. For all watching who don't know MAFSI, if you're from a different kind of part of the industry, the food side or a restaurant, MAFSI is the Association of Reps, the Manufacturers Association of Food Service. I don't know, what is it? Agents, manufacturers.
Agents Association for the Food Service Industry.
Boom. There we go. Chris crushed it. So there's reps all across the country, and we're part of this association to work together to improve what reps do. I'm not one anymore. I keep putting myself in those shoes, but to improve what they do for the industry, their role in it, thinking, engagement, etc. Ian says, hi, Ian and Ramsey. Allison says, it was amazing that Neville handling that moment. I can't imagine being in the shoes at such an instrumental time trying to address, and because you're setting the tone for how we will react. Is your dad similar to you in terms of composure, in terms of that sort of that calm way of leadership?
Yeah, no question. And so if we were talking about things that I've learned from my father being who he is in our business and as a father, that pace is certainly one that I've picked up. His ability to let people thrive on their own merits and encourage them to get to that place is something that I certainly appreciate about Neville. And he's a pretty good diplomat, and I think I've picked up on that. And not just because in that circumstance he wasn't an American. We didn't experience that same. We all did, but the gravity of that was really well explained by him as something that was from a foreign country, at least.
Right.
So, yeah, just happy to say that I have picked up that kind of demeanor from a mentor, but also a father.
Well, it's really appreciated by a lot of us who get to have been led by you. Were you, as the son of a rep owner, someone in a family who'd been in the industry, was it an expectation that you would sort of join in? Or was that something, before you got into food service, did you try something else out first? Or did you kind of know, like, hey, this is where I want to be?
I really felt like it was a place that I wanted to spend my time. I saw the life that my father led. He enjoyed what he did. He went to work in a positive way every day, and hospitality. Who doesn't want to be a part of that? Never mind that we're on the supply side of that. We're still delivering hospitable things to people and making people happy at meals, like you described earlier. We've shared meals. Someone put the equipment in that kitchen that served that meal to us, and that feels good. And so that felt like a place that I wanted to be. And when the opportunity came, it was happily accepted.
It's really cool. How long is your dad still working in the business?
He is. We'll joke that he slowed down, but I don't think he's slowed down at all, because Neville manages, with a couple of other colleagues, a lot of our quotations. And as everybody on the call that knows, I mean, the velocity of that right now is very high. So the answer is no. I wish the answer was yes. But the days go by quickly for Neville and the rest of us.
I love it. I remember this was when I was a kid, before I joined my dad's rep firm. My grandfather had been in the business, and my dad had started the rep firm, and my grandfather worked for him, and the things he did and just watching. It's fun when you see generations get to work together and live together, and all the things that fathers and sons, or fathers and daughters, whatever it is, find ways to be parent-child, but also be colleagues and navigate, kind of those boundaries and maintain both. It can be a unique challenge at times. Yeah,
well, no question. I'm happy to say there's been very little challenge and a lot of unique.
Oh, I love it. Okay, real quick, before we join tonight, I asked for people for questions, and here's a couple. Joe McCauley, when is the border opening, Chris? And can you use your influence in the matter?
I would love, Joe, to do that favor for you. I'm just going to announce here to the crew here, one of my most favorite relationships I have, and it's been 25 plus years with Joe McCauley. And our friend Joe is going to retire at the end of this year, and I want nothing more than that border to open, Joe, so you can come up here and we can give you the party and the send-off that you deserve.
Oh, so I love it.
Everything I can do to influence that. If not, we'll just smuggle you in a box.
There we go. That'll be comfortable, Joe. In a box. Yeah. It'll be a big one. We know walk-in people that can make something like that, or whatever it looks like. Okay, next. Chris, there you go. Chris Rowling. I might know the answer to this based on what we talked about. Who is your greatest influence? Who's been your greatest influence?
Ooh. Well, I mean, we talked about Neville quite a bit. I'm lucky to have been led by two other gentlemen that were partners with Neville as he built the company. So Bob Morrison and Dwayne Gunn, two individuals who have had a tremendous influence on my career path and on who I am as a business leader. every colleague I've ever worked with has made an impression, and more than they know it, everybody that I sat with on the MAFSI board, Alison, Cody, and Ramsey and Jennifer, just for their dedication to what they do and their knowledge for what they do. And then I can list hundreds of names, but I will say that I have had the privilege, and I think Kevin Eaton and I have been on that board for longer than we set a record, I think. And Kevin will surely go longer than me since I'm finished now. But Danny Collis, Mike McGuire, Joe Ferry, Jeff Couch, Kevin, Tom Mitchell, Neil Inverso, Stephanie Perry, all these people that have taken on the role of leaders of that association, never mind all the other people on the board, and never mind all the amazing people I got to meet from the other associations. It's a hard thing to pin down to one person. You go to a conference and you listen to a speaker talk, Jason, and you should be at those you should be speaking at some of those conferences. I will suggest that. But when you listen and if you could extract one thing from that conversation or the speech that you've heard, feel like you've picked something up. And all of those people I just listed, there's bits of them. So
I love that you are not just open to, but Chris, you're a listener and you're someone who's so engaged when you talk with people that I think you receive peace. I mean, you talk about all these people have affected you in really cool ways in the way you think about the world or the industry. I mean, you're not closed off to things. You're open to that. And I think that's true of anyone who's open to growing and learning and can maintain that sense of calm, as being like saying, listen, I know what I know, but I always love learning. And the people around me are the people I learn from all the time.
Yeah. Well said.
This is really funny. So right before Chris and I came on, one of our mutual friends who was on the MAFSI board with us, Matt O'Donnell, requested to join this group. And I was like, oh, Matt requested to join. I don't know if he'll be on tonight or not, but guess who's here, Chris? We thought we might have some fun with this. So Neville is the beginning of the Canadian invasion. Matt.
Just the background to Matt and the comments here is that he would send off every meeting, and he'd probably have to write it down. I can't verbatim, but he would joke that there were too many Canadians on the board. So when it was his time to leave, we left him we gave him a gift. My fellow Canadians, we gave him a gift, and there's no way he has that picture and send it to you to show. But if he did, I would love for that to happen because it was a great gift from Canada.
Oh my gosh. I don't even know how to bring it up, but Matt, if you want to try to text it in, do it. That's really funny. Chris was definitely one of the best presidents on MAFSI that served. I really enjoyed my years on the board, and a lot of that had to do with the leadership, in spite of the number of Canadians. That was always a really funny joke. And Matt, you are awesome. I'm so glad you joined and came on tonight.
Thank you, Matt.
Chris, are you a goal setter?
Yes, and I feel like that has evolved over the last little while, Jason, and certainly this past year and a half has created an atmosphere in our business mostly that encourages us. Well, it doesn't encourage us. It makes us set goals as part of how we progressed through COVID. So I did well to set goals for myself prior to, but now I'm a dedicated goal setter, without question.
What does that look like? Is that something at like January 1st, you put some things down about the end of the year? Is it a quarterly thing? Like, how do you go about it?
Yeah, we'll set, business-wise, we will set quarterly goals. We'll set yearly goals, 3-year goals, 10-year goals. Just make sure that we have targets that are down the path. I go for a walk every morning. Julie and I will go for a walk early, and a lot of those walks are silent. And Julie is a teacher, so she was doing a lot of online teaching this year. And I'd be thinking about the things I wanted to accomplish during the day. She'd be thinking about the things she wanted to accomplish. And those silent walks, I feel like were a good place for me to set daily goals.
Yeah.
So just constantly thinking about what the next accomplishment should or needs to be.
I love it. I love that you and Julie walk oftentimes in silence, that there's a comfort there's sometimes there's relationships where you feel like you have to talk all the time, and then sometimes you get to a comfort level and you know someone so well, and the trust is so present that you don't even need to speak to know that you're connecting. You're both working on your things, and yet you're doing it together side by side as you walk. I think that's really, really special.
Yeah, thank you.
If you haven't been a rep, for anyone that hasn't been a rep, it's hard to understand what a rep is in the industry and the role. How do you explain the role of the rep in the supply chain to other people when someone asks you, what do reps really do?
So if I'm asked by friends what I do for a living, I will always answer by saying I sell commercial food service equipment. And that's a simplified way of explaining what the actual thing is that we do. But a rep, and again, I'll go back to all those names that I mentioned before and the time spent inside the association and just the understanding of what our role is. We're conduit, or we're a cog in a wheel, because the one thing I'm proud of about the time I spent at MAFSI was the relationships and the understanding I developed between the other 4 associations, and just became very dedicated to making sure the channel was the thing. Like, I really liked the way it all worked, but I always felt like in our territory, there's no one entity other than a food service rep or a manufacturer's rep that touches the other 4 associations or the other 4 parts of the delivery or the supply channel the same way. And that we have to own that space on the wheel in order for all the spokes that, there isn't a week that goes by that I'm not interacting with someone from one of those 4 groups, a dealer or a manufacturer or a consultant or a service company. And I don't think that is quite the same for every other member of that cog, or of the wheel, excuse me. So I just feel like, our role is to be very good representatives, in a literal term, of the manufacturers we are associated with, and to take that task and bring it to market. Learning, knowledge, service, support to fix things, all of that is a part of what we do. We're teachers, but we're teachers to a whole, a huge number of facets of that food service community, and that we better be strong inside that space. If the wheel is the territory,
sure,
to really carry this analogy way further than I needed to.
No, it's great.
But that's what we do. That we want to make sure that space is something that we're steering correctly.
I love that you're weekly, and almost all reps are touching all the different channels, all the different associations, interacting with, to help the wheel keep moving, if you will. It seemed to me when I came on the board that there was a real drive towards continuing to bring the communication together between the associations. And I think it was called, what were they calling it? The 5 families at the time. I don't know if they're still calling it, but it was, we're all in this mission together as, extended family members, finding a way to work together and communicate better to make the whole chain work better for the end user. And I love it.
Great we all have the same customer. And that was the bottom line. And that the collaborative spirit that existed when I had the opportunity to be a part of it was pretty heavy. It was very genuine. I thoroughly enjoyed that.
I love it. You, a part of your story and a part of your, when I've seen you smile biggest and in your element, you're a part of a band, and you are the lead singer of a band called The Inevitable Accident. So first, the name. How did you come up with the name Inevitable Accident?
So I did not come up with that name, nor did really anybody, other than my friend was at a business meeting, and he was waiting for one of the attendees, and that attendee came to the business meeting late, and they came into the meeting and said, I'm late because there was an inevitable accident. And he immediately thought, how could something be inevitable but also be an accident? Like, those two things just don't work. And he went home, he bought the URL for that, Inevitable Accident Band, I think he bought. And then when we decided to make this thing happen, it suits the nature of what we do. And because there is no question that every time we do play live, that something's going to happen. It's inevitable that there will be a problem or there will be a mistake. And then we're okay with that. And that's just part of what makes us happy up there. So, yeah.
You had said on your bio on your website that rock and roll, I forget the exact words, but it's a significant part of who you are.
Sure.
Talk about music in your life. Has music been did you know as a kid that, did you rise and fall with music? I mean, how long have you been into music and known it was going to affect you this way?
Always. No, I never knew that I would have an opportunity presented to me that I could to enjoy it this way, but I've always been a listener and a fan of it. And so by having this opportunity given to me by the same friend who had that inevitable accident conversation, it just changed my appreciation for it. It's a hobby that, I mean, I'm not even good. They're the musicians. I just remember the words, but I love it because I get to spend all this time with 4 brilliant friends, very, very close friends, and you become that way because there's a common goal. The thing that I enjoyed most about what you would have seen was the fact that we encouraged and found so many other band members in MAFSI, in the industry, people that just by putting a little bit of a feeler out there and saying, who wants to join us? There was so many hands that raised. And it was a thrill for all 5 of us to see that, me especially, because I know the people that were there with us. And I mean, I know what it's like to be up there because I have a lot of fun up there. To see other people having that same kind of fun that was what made that for me. It was a brilliant, it was a really great experience. And everybody was talented.
It was really fun when you inviting everybody up to come and just let go and let loose and give the audience what they had, and see people coming up and coming down, and your band's spirit to encourage them along the way. Everybody dancing. Sandy Van Buren is in the house. Had the pleasure to see Chris live at MAFSI, and you can tell the joy it brings to him and all others that are part of the experience. Sandy, it's a great way of saying that.
Thank you, Sandy.
Because so many were a part of that experience, and it felt like, I mean, that was an amazing conference. That was San Diego, I believe, correct? Where we were?
Yep.
And it was an unbelievable conference on so many levels, but it's moments like that sort of define the spirit, I think, and the vibe to those. And that moment did. It was, my friend calls them watershed moments. It just felt like a moment like that at that conference that would leave the fingerprint on how everyone was going to remember it.
I'm going to do a poor job of remembering the gentleman's name who presented to us about his list of 100 things that he wanted to do before he died. I can't recall his name.
Ben Nempton.
Ben Nempton. Thank you. And that was an impactful thing to listen to him speak towards, and then talk about paying it forward so that other people can do those things. And if anybody did that evening check off one of those boxes, then I feel grateful that they had that opportunity. I had a couple people tell me that was how they felt. So
it was so good. Awesome. I don't know if this is letting the cat out of the bag. I guess it is. Shameless plug. Inevitable Accident's going to be at MAFSI 2022.
That it looks like that's what's happening. So I'll throw it out in a loose way right now, but if anybody wants to be on stage with us, then let's start talking.
Oh my gosh, I love this. I wonder how many people do have, like you said, people said to you that they accomplished something big and they're like paying it forward and they knock something off. I wonder how many people watching it's on their bucket list to get up and offer something to the industry, your friends, to go with the music and sing something that moves you.
I hope lots.
I hope lots too. No Shame 750 in 50. Oh, that's Tom Mitchell, by the way. I'm thinking he's saying 750 attendees in the 50th anniversary of the conference, correct?
That's 50th conference. Yeah. That would be an amazing number to get to. And I think we were close to that in San Diego. My memory is good, but it's short. I say that a lot. It's back in Naples. It's going to be that venue is amazing. 2 conferences ago, the Naples Grand. So
it was amazing. This is Klosterman. This is our buddy Mike. I want to come to Canada for a show. Mike, Chris is working on opening the border for Joe. So as soon as he pulls that off, you can sneak right in with Joe.
You are welcome anytime, Michael.
I love it.
We'll do something. The one thing I will say is, and we haven't been able to get together that much just because of restrictions and indoor gatherings, etc. We turned WD College's test kitchen into a rehearsal space for about 4 months when we were allowed to get together. So that would have been the time to come up for the only show that we've had in the last little while. Hopefully it starts back again soon, because we will have to practice before January of next year, at least once.
I hope you can soon. Who is this? This is Simon Cox. Simon
Cox. Hey, Simon. How you
Chris
doing, bud?
had incredible insight, is one of the most thoughtful people in the industry. I love it.
Very kind, my friend.
You said, by the way, when looking at your band website, you do parties for people, birthday parties. You listed like all the different events you do, and you said birthday parties, 45 to 60, no birthday parties for people under 35. So my question was, what happens at the birthday parties for those under 35 that is we're going to keep it off the radar?
Well, we're not playing music that they care to hear. That's the bottom line. That's why Gord would put that on there. He's teasing about the fact that if you're between 45 and 60, what you listen to is right in our wheelhouse. So
I love it. I was wondering if there was a story like, you know what, we played this party once and it got real and people started throwing like chicken wings or something like that.
No, never. We'll only play, Jason, if there's a want for. We're not a bar band, so we're only playing for friends, really, or associations that are friends.
I love it. Yeah. Another question, and it kind of comes to another. I had asked you a question, about your approach to life. It's a calm and a steady demeanor. And actually, Kevin Coachman had asked in the group an hour before we came on, how does Chris maintain his Zen behavior and his calmness?
Jeez, Kevin. Let me interrupt that question. Before I answer that question, I got a call from Kevin Coachman about a month ago, just kind of out of the blue. And I will say that those moments in the past year have been the thing that I've just appreciated so much, is when you connect with people that we haven't been able to travel. I haven't seen all these people that I was used to seeing on a regular basis. Kevin gave me a phone call, reminded me that was, he's somebody that I have not seen and I miss. So thank you for that, Kevin. And I don't know, maybe it's because I stay calm, Kevin, by deflecting off questions that are challenging. And again, I'll go back to, I learned from a person that was calm and very, very measured in their responses to things. And I think when I get passionate, and that happens, and my kids probably the ones that have seen that the most, perhaps it's more impactful, because most of the time I can manage away things that might be challenging by just being as relaxed as possible. I don't know. I've not really thought about that, but just kind of the way we are. Thank you, Kevin.
It's obviously the fact that it's noted often by people, I think, and that it's recognized. When I think about that, I think that it's something that the world could use more of. That if it were super common, then it probably wouldn't be recognized. But there are so many comments when people talk about you. That's one of the things that leadership in that I don't know, it's quiet strength, but that calm strength. And so I think it's something that is really appreciated. Measured is a perfect way to describe it, Simon says. This is Rusty Gilmore. Love Canadians. Opened up Canada for RoboCoop. 7980, 21 years old. Looked like I was 15. The people were so gracious.
We are. There's no question.
I love it.
Always welcome.
Okay. What would you say is we've talked about it a little bit, but your greatest strength, and consequently, and vice versa, what is something that you find yourself working on as we're all growing? We're always improving and learning.
So that's not an easy question to answer. I will say that I feel like I'm strong in the sense that I am willing to try things that are uncomfortable. I had a colleague recently ask me to answer a couple of questions, and he asked a question saying, "What is something about you that most people don't know?" And I responded by saying that I thrive, or I get at least some enjoyment out of being put into uncomfortable situations. And so, being up on stage, it's nerve-wracking. It's hard to do that. It's tough to speak in front of people in a big room. Being up high in heights and putting yourself into a space like that, taking risks in business, those are all things that I like to try, because what I suppose I've worked on, Jason, more than anything is being willing to fail if I don't do a good job, but it's better that I tried to do it. And so that's the one thing I've always worked on. If there's something feels like it is uncomfortable, well, why is it uncomfortable? Let's get over that hump and let's figure out a way to do it. And so I don't know whether that's my greatest strength, but I am proud of the fact that I'm willing to try those things and get up there when a lot of others are challenged by that.
I love it. I think it is certainly a strength. It seems to me that people who are willing to try things that are uncomfortable or hard are people who have appropriately defined failure in their life. Meaning, if it doesn't totally go the way you want, there's no shame involved. There's, hey, I tried. I learned couple things that work. I learned something not to do next time or to improve upon next time. And if you don't let it say anything about you when something doesn't quite work out, but you're just willing to learn from it, then you're willing to try more, I think. And I think that's a great mindset to have.
Yeah, thank you. And it's really the way I feel.
Gosh, I love it. Note-taking, friends, note-taking. Who is this? This is Matt. Jason, I know this is all about Chris, but before this webinar wraps up, can you please take a minute to explain in your own words the purpose of the Food Service Power Plant Network? Yeah, Matt, we can do that. I'll do that. I'll do that at the end, Matt. We'll get to that. Okay, Brian Wood, Chris is definitely the calmest, most even-keel individuals in our industry, and that I've had the privilege to meet. Definitely a great trait, given the highly emotional people within our industry. Oftentimes, Brian, to your point, we're I don't know, we're fully alive. We're an alive group of people. We like to live. I think we're an industry of people who like to leave it all on the field. Is that a good way to say that, Chris?
Yeah, for sure. No question. And Brian that's a very kind compliment, Brian. And when it comes from somebody who I have a ton of respect for, Brian has an amazing story. And your interview with Brian a couple of months ago was phenomenal. And nice for him to share his story. I appreciate that. We're passionate in similar ways, Brian and I, and so these are just kind words from a good man.
I would agree. Brian was amazing. That was one of that conversation with Brian sort of changed. There was an openness and a vulnerability in that one that sort of changed the direction of these in a really wonderful way that affected it quite profoundly, people's willingness to come on and open up. So Brian, you the man. We love you, buddy. Keep rocking. You love creating fun meals. You love cooking, from what I read on your bio. When a guest comes over and you cook a meal, what's some of the most memorable you've made?
I think for me, Jason, and I'll go back to something that you and I experienced together, and you even mentioned it earlier, but it's more about the meal experience than the food. So I'd have a hard time pinpointing what food I've made that has been the most memorable. But I will say that we have our backyard set up so that you can prepare food with your friends around like a little grill that we have. And a lot of times the meal becomes more about the act of cooking together as opposed to about what you're cooking, which has been a lot of fun for us this summer. And the meal that we shared when we were in St. John's, Newfoundland, Jason, was when the MAFSI board was there, is still, there's no question that was my most favorite meal experience at Mallard Cottage, because we had the place to ourselves and it was a meal experience that we all just got to share. So I can't remember what we ate that evening. I do remember I thoroughly enjoyed every minute of that. And that's my answer would be, the food itself should be good, but I can't pick a thing. It's more about just trying to make the meal memorable and dine in a meaningful way. So
I love the spirit behind it. And I would agree. We, Mallard Cottage, when we went out there, was this cool old cottage built in the 1800s, I believe. And we had a beautiful garden in the back, and it was cool and old and rustic inside, and this open kitchen and kind of older tables, that we all just sat at. It was beautiful, 30 or so MAFSI friends that we did. Brian says, no, not an emotional basket case, Brian. Matt, Julian, Chris Jeens, my guru. Certainly appears that I'm not the only one taking notes. Cheers, my friend.
Thank you, Matt. So, yeah, Matt is our newest colleague at WD College, and he started with us at the beginning of this year, and it's a thrill and an honor to have him on the team. It's just an unbelievable all-star team at WD College. So this is our rookie, even though he's not an industry rookie, but we treat him that way.
Well, I think that's fun. Now, this wasn't in the questions, but speaking of Matt's the newbie. He's the new folk you brought on. When you're looking for a team member, anything, one or two things in particular that you're looking for when you're bringing someone on to be a part of your, family team?
Well, it always helps to know that the person is going to mesh well with the culture that we have at our business. And I when I know somebody the way I knew most of our colleagues before they started with our business, it's an easy thing to determine that they're going to be able to assimilate well that way and earn the respect of their colleagues quickly. The one thing I like and appreciate, and one thing I will refer to with Matt, is that he was not afraid to, because I very directly asked, but he's not afraid to share with me what things that we could do better. And going back to the notion of failure and wanting to, you can't learn unless you understand where you're failing or where you could at least improve. And very, very well articulated from Matt as to what some things were that we could do better. And here we are. So
I love it. There's the ability to recognize areas of improvement is so healthy. And I love that he had the courage to tell you. If we're not, if you're not growing, you're dying. And sometimes that can relate to business in terms of our organizations and sales numbers, but I think it also relates to us as people. And so it's fun to find those moments because you might look at them as just simply opportunities to growth and keep living.
Yeah.
Brian wants to know, are the frames behind you for future platinum records?
No, those are this is the creativity of my wife, Julie. These frames back here change with seasons. So summer is colorful.
Oh, I love it. I love how Julie's so intentional about creating the vibe in your home of what she wants it to reflect.
It makes, if you're here in the fall, there'll be leaves and browns and reds, and so yeah, it helps.
Perfect teacher move.
Yeah,
it sounds like something we would do in a classroom. Kevin Kerr, I've known Chris for close to 30 years. I've had the opportunity to work with Chris every day and to call him my friend. Kevin, we're glad to have you here, man.
Yeah. So another colleague at WD College, close to a rookie, but not the rookie anymore. And but just every person in our business and the way that we all interact together. we're all friends, and that's a cool thing. So that part of what you just said, Kevin, is appreciated, because I know that we all feel that way. And I will say that this kind of interaction, the virtual meetings and the Zoom calls and all of the time we've spent there, has brought our team closer together. We are friendlier with one another because of the geography that was just a challenge before. It has become an amazing way for us to get to know one another coast to coast. So that notion of friendship is even more profound at Colledge than it was prior to Zoom fatigue.
Well, here's minus that. Here's to finding the gifts in all of this, right? Yeah. It's been a hard year, but there are undeniable gifts that we can pull out of it should we choose to. Gretchen Jeens, everything Chris cooks is gourmet.
Mothers are going to say that. I got my mother's.
I love it. Oh, all right, Gretchen.
My wife Julie is here. She's waving at me. She's agreeing. So wives and mothers are going to say that. So,
I love it.
Very kind.
Great team of women around you. You were the MAFSI president in 2017, 2018. That's where we met. Mm-hmm. When I came on the board, I was blown away by what MAFSI was doing. The things that MAFSI was creating, the initiatives, the ways to help reduce friction in terms of information, to increase information flow and have all the channels work together. Was there something in particular you were most proud of from that time?
I mean, I am consistently proud of what MAFSI accomplishes and of the leadership there. Allison and Ramsey and Jennifer they're always on task and driven to complete things that seem impossible, and they've been made possible. And they've been made possible. So I suppose the thing I'm most proud of is that the team that's in the room when we're at board meetings is dedicated to doing the work in order to help facilitate things that seem like they aren't easily done. And that's, so Jason, when you came on the board, and a lot of the people that are on the board now would have been starting when I was there. And so it's an amazing thing to see now that Kevin, Tom, Neil, and Stephanie are in the leadership roles, just how consistent and dedicated the group is that's there. And it's been a consistent group. And so everyone's familiar with the way that things need to work in order for them to be successful. Mike Klosterman was on earlier and made a comment, and and a great example of someone that is dedicated to this. He's doing his second term as a chair at the conference. I mean, that's a lot of responsibility, and it's because people want the association to succeed, and they want the rest of the industry to benefit from the work that we do, whether it's conference or whether it's Spec Path or the Food Service 101 program, though all those things that are burned in my memory for all the time that we spent building them, and now they're executed, and there's a lot to be proud of. And I mean, none of these are my ideas. These are all just things that we all just sort of put our heads down and got the work done. And so kudos to everybody that's been a part of that. That's what I'm proud of.
Heck yeah, I would echo it. An unbelievable team making big things happen and finding ways to do it together, all staying friends and having a lot of fun. Allison, Cody, Chris is such an amazing leader. He does so much for MAFSI and our industry.
Thank you, Allison. Back at you.
Heck yes.
Just change the name in the sentence.
Yeah. The amount of talent and incredible people, just brilliant people working together, to do unbelievable things is amazing. And Allison, having, been there 20 years, I don't know what it is now, but a long time. Allison remains one of the most brilliant people I've ever seen. Moments when I've seen her map out thoughts on like 5 pages as if it were like, code, like computer code. And then she turns it into something real that a person that can't read code can understand. And it's just fascinating and so fun to watch. Anyway, Allison, you're amazing.
Yeah, and you're right. And that happens repeatedly. This initiative gets spelled out the way you just described it, then the next one, then the next, and it's, yeah, it's why MAFSI is successful.
Pretty special. Was there a challenge in your life that you overcame that sort of taught you what you were made of, that you had to work through and realize, holy cow, I can handle a lot?
I might refer back to what I said about what I'm proud of as being a strength. I mean, it's not always been something that was a simple thing to be able to just get up and do challenging things. So did I used to get nervous being on not stage like performing, but in front of a group? Or absolutely. And a lot of work put into making that different. There was a moment for me when I was younger, in my mid-20s, I lost a friend, a really close person that I went to high school with, and the circumstances of his passing were pretty tragic for our friend group. And I just remember the moment maybe that changed the way I was thinking about being nervous and wanting to do the thing that is the, or at least in my own head is the right thing to do, was at his service. And family members spoke, and they spoke to Scott and the kind of person he was, and they opened it up at the end to, would anyone else like to say anything? And there was a pause, and I don't know what, I just thought, I can't miss this opportunity to do this thing. So I got up. I don't remember what I said, Jason. I was up there for 30 seconds. I said what I needed to say, and it changed my attitude about missing out on that thing. If there's something that you want to, that at least in my mind, I feel like I need to do for whatever reason. And in that case, it was because I would never have a chance to do that again in that circumstance. And I just did it. And from that point on, I'll have that in my head, just say, this is that same moment. I'm either going to do this thing or I'm not going to do this thing. And which is the worst? Which repercussion is less? Knowing that I didn't do it, or knowing that I did it and maybe not doing such a good job? Well, most of the time it's the first, like the knowing that I did it and not doing a great job. I'd rather that. So there's the challenge.
It's a big one. And I love something that I resonate there with is there's a quote someone told me, I don't know, some time ago, that said, done is better than perfect. And I
like that.
Yeah, I friggin' love it, because so often I could sit for months just trying to make something perfect and never actually do it. And so to just get up and go, whether that's, being on a stage and playing music or speaking and leading, or me speaking, or all those different things. The other thing I think too is I find myself oftentimes doing things because I'm driven by a fear of regret.
Yeah.
And so when you just said that, you didn't want to regret not stepping into that moment and offering something to your friend and his family or the community or whatever, and saying what you needed to say. And I would find that I'm sort of driven that way as well.
Yeah. I'm going to change the subject a little bit and go back to you so people that can get up in front of a crowd and speak as well as you do are an inspiration for me. I remember the MAFSI conference back, probably, I don't know, it might've been 3 conferences ago, where you and Mitch got up in front of people and spoke. And I remember sitting in that room fascinated by how well you controlled that, like the conversation, and how well, and Mitch too, and how the two of you played off one another, delivered an amazing presentation. Everyone was engaged, standing room only. I was super inspired by that. And that's what motivates me to try to do better with that kind of, sure, you're afraid or nervous to do this thing, but you know what? Be organized, do it well, and then learn from the people that do it especially well.
Oh, I love it. I was so terrified of that challenge when I think you and Allison came to us and were like, hey, you've been talking about this thing. We want you to present it. And I remember stepping up. Mitch reminded me of this. We talked a few weeks ago, and I had like my Apple Watch on, and it was measuring my heart rate. And I was at like 168 or like 175 heart rate going up to speak. And Mitch was like, dude, do you need to lay down right now? Like, this is not a healthy heart rate to be at in this moment.
That's great.
But it was fun. Who is this? Oh, This is our friend Deirdre Flynn.
Deirdre, oh my goodness. Hi, Deirdre.
MAFSI is lucky to have Chris and Allison and all their past and current board members who are so committed to moving the industry forward. Heck yes. Heck yes, Deirdre.
Thank you, Deirdre. And that was part of the experience of being so involved with MAFSI that I appreciated. Deirdre, Heather, Wade, Tracy, all the people that are running those associations, amazing people that are doing a phenomenal job for the industry. And then they have these, and I could list all of the people that were involved with those associations in a similar role as mine when they were there, and the friendships that I still have with those people. It's so thank you, Deirdre, for being on. We'll see you soon.
Soon. We got what, 6 weeks or something like that? Holy smoke. We're getting close, friends. NAFM, boom. By the way, if you're watching and you're there, obviously you're part of this community, go in the events tab of our group and go register to be at the party that we're going to be throwing to all get together, finally give some hugs. I think that's okay now. And, connect after 16 months of doing this grand experiment together of connecting virtually. Before we wrap up, I'm going to answer Matt's question real quick. Deirdre's, boom, she's in. Matt had asked what the Food Service Power Plant Network is. Matt, the Food Service Power Plant Network was born right at the beginning of COVID, where people were having a tough time, and I started doing videos on positive mindset psychology to help people get out of the funk and the fear and all that kind of jazz. And then there was a friend who felt really isolated and alone, I think in Chicago, and wasn't seeing anybody. And so we decided to start a community where people could connect, like we're used to doing it at shows and in sales meetings and in all of our cars, traveling around the country doing what we do. And we weren't doing that. So it was a way to connect. And now it's just become a place where people can support one another. And we still offer those positive mindset tools so people can grow and remain committed to their own development, personally and professionally. And we're doing it together. And it's been one of the, for me, one of the most beneficial things in my life to connect with people. And it's been just learning what other people bring to our industry and the voices that come into this community and offer up inspiring messages and encouragement to one another. And it's been really fun. So that's what
you've done an incredible job with this, Jason. I mean, I think I've been on, we were talking earlier, but 7 or 8 of these interviews you've done with friends, and it's just phenomenal.
Thanks,
so,
buddy.
Congrats.
Okay. Really quick. This is my favorite question. When, depending on who wins the battle in your family, if you retire in about 25 years or if Julie wins and it's before that, when they look back at when the industry, I'm not going to say evaluates you, but tells a story about Chris Jeens and his legacy in the industry, is there something that you hope they say that right now you're living in and engaging with the community in, so that you hope they say?
Well, you've established that I have to try to live up to being one of the coolest people in the industry. So maybe that would be one of those things, Jason. I've created a ton of relationships across all of North America. I'd like to think that those people are either customers that we've helped, friends that will remain. As long as at the end of all of this, people think I worked hard, did a great job, did everything with integrity, did everything I was said. If I said something I was going to do, I did it, and I suppose that's what I would like to leave behind, and to try to stay in the top 10 at least of coolest. In your mind, at least, Jason. As long as I stay there, I'll be happy.
Chris, I don't think that's going to be a problem for you, my friend. In terms of what you represent, the way you affect people, and the way you make us dance, quite literally. And, that I think that piece about that you're paying it forward, you're giving people a platform and opportunity to fulfill something on their bucket list. All of those things wrapped together the way you do it. You'll hold that title for quite a long time in my book. And I think the industry, as one of Chris's Gino, As one of Chris's employees, I'm truly proud to be a part of his team for the last 40 years. Wow, Gino, how cool is that?
Yeah, it's amazing. So here's I don't know whether we're running over on time, but in our company, we have four groups of family members. So Neville and I, Gino and his father, Mike, Claudio and his son, Mikhail, and Nancy and her daughter, Amanda. So 4 family groups inside our business, which is a pretty cool thing too. And Gino has been based in Montreal and has been with the company for a lot of years. Thank you, Gino. That's awesome.
That is awesome, Gino. I love that you're here. Chris, this is my favorite part where it's not just me that thinks you're the coolest. There's a lot of people who think you're the coolest person in food service. You mentioned Wade. I forgot Wade's. He left me something on my voicemail. I feel like a goofball. But I'm going to read you a couple things from your friends because it's important to me that people who've affected the industry in really beautiful ways get to hear it, because oftentimes we don't get to hear it. People tell us casually or whatever, but I want you to know it and soak it in because you matter. Kevin Fink. Chris and I worked together on the 5 Families initiatives during his tenure as the MAFSI president. I truly enjoyed working with Chris. He is proactive, he is practical, extremely pleasant, and a consummate professional. He has a commanding knowledge of our industry, and he demonstrates this as a tremendous leader and a steward for our collective benefit.
Wow. That's very powerful. Thank you, Kevin.
I love collective benefit. That's a message that resonates, Chris, with everyone to you is when you're as you lead, it isn't just about you. It isn't just about reps and MAFSI. It's the benefit. You recognize that we all win together.
These are very kind words. But I agree with that. And thank you for stating it. Kevin's words were, that's pretty powerful. Thank you.
Tom Mitchell. I have known Chris for 20 years now. I think of him as a real force in the food service equipment industry in Canada. Smart, personable, respected, the absolute perfect trifecta.
That's so great. Tom is just knocking it out of the park in this role, and it's going to be super fun to watch him evolve the association to well beyond where it's already gone, and it's already at high levels. But Tom, thank you very much, my friend. I'm sorry I won't see you next month or this month. Next week. Oh my goodness, time's flying. I can't go.
Oregon, MAFSI board meeting, right?
Yeah.
Our buddy Deirdre Flynn. Chris Jeens is one of the best people in the whole wide world.
Wow.
I did have the opportunity to travel the circuit with Chris. He is amazing. So smart. Such an industry leader. Progressive, focused, great communicator, great listener. Someone who makes everyone feel at home and included. Such a leader and just so kind. A gentleman in every sense of the word.
Wow.
I'm so lucky to have had the opportunity to know him and to learn from him. I also had the opportunity to work with his dad, Neville, when he was the MAFSI president. And that's the other cool thing about the Jeens family. Second generation, leaving his mark, continuing to build his company, the role of the rep with the manufacturers, to continue to contribute to the industry and to MAFSI. They have given so much to the industry. And Chris just embodies professionalism, industry entrepreneurship. He's an incredible asset and talent for our industry.
My goodness. Deirdre, there's a hug coming your way when I see you in a month. That is very, very kind. Thank you.
Joe Carlson.
Joe.
When I think of the best of our industry, Chris Jeens is in that very small group. He is first class as a rep, leading his team to do their very best for their factories while giving his time to serve the members of MAFSI. What really sets him apart is his genuine focus to truly help others. He has a big heart and a huge passion for this industry, always enjoying serving the needs of others, and most importantly, never giving an extra 5 on an order. He says, okay, rarely giving an extra 5 on an order.
Thank you so much, Joe. Joe, if Joe's on, we can tell him, or Deirdre, you could pass along that I have the bag of Skittles taped to on my bulletin board in my office that he gave me at the last NAFM conference.
Oh, that is awesome.
Thank you, Joe.
Allison Cody. Chris Jeens is one of those rare people in your life that you can count on for anything. He is always ready with a kind word or an astute observation or words of advice. I am so lucky to have him as a colleague, but even more so as a lifelong friend. Absolutely. He has forever changed my life, MAFSI, and the industry for the better.
Wow, Allison. Also a hug coming your way when I see you. Thank you so much. And the one thing I'll say, Jason, is that the friendship aspect of what Allison just said is of utmost importance. She has become a grand friend because of all of the time we spent working, and that's an amazing thing. Thank you, Allison.
What a special time, Chris. I hope you get to soak it in. I'm going to email you these, and Wade. I feel like a goofball because Wade left me a voicemail for you and I forgot to transcribe it, but I'll get that to you as well. Listen, man, let's see here real quick. Allison, such an amazing show tonight. Michael, great conversation.
Thank you.
Who's this? Let's see. David, enjoyed the conversation. Thank you. That's amazing. Who's this? Brian, great interview. You're an outstanding leader and ambassador within our industry. You've taken over the stewardship of WD Colledge from Neville and your grandfather before him. No easy feat, but you've carved your own path. You're a tremendous individual who inspires me and others in many ways. I also greatly appreciate you spending time with David, my son, on being your own man in a family business. You make the Canadian food service players proud.
David is he's a remarkable. He's not a kid. I'm going to call him a kid. I got all this gray hair, so I feel like I can call him a kid. But that's great. Thank you, Brian. Amazing.
Love it. Great job. Loving it. Kevin Coachman, we will see you at NAFM, my friend. Who else is this? Deirdre Flynn, our buddy. Thank you. Can't wait to see you both. And hug in 6 weeks. Chris, you're the best. I would agree. Food Service Power Plant Network. Well, you got a few nuggets out of night, I have a feeling. Chris, thank you. Thank Julie for giving us an hour. I don't know if your sons are still home, but thank them for giving us an hour. And
they are at camp. They are gone. So they're off in the woods somewhere.
I always loved that your boys would go to camp for like a month or so, and you and Julie would just have this time together, which I think is so amazing and awesome.
Yeah.
Gosh.
They're adventurers more so than their father.
I think it's a great trait to have. Mm-hmm. Friends in the community, listen, thanks for joining us. Thanks for your questions. Thanks for your engagement. Thanks for your encouragement of me and Chris tonight. We feel the energy and the enthusiasm. We're grateful for it. We will see you at NAFM. Remember, picking up just on some of Chris, what people have called out in Chris, and it's about making decisions and leading in a way that benefits your whole community, whatever community you're in, your personal community. I've got a neighborhood surrounding me, or our industry community, or in our home, whatever it is. I would say it's pretty special when you get to lead in ways that are for the greater good. And those are people who leave legacies, like the comments of all of our friends tonight who shared. So take your I would say continue to lead with heart. And as you make decisions in your own life, we're all growing and we're all have accomplishments and goals like Chris does. Think about who it benefits along with you and make those decisions. And I think you'll find that as you continue on in your journey, the people who are affected pretty profoundly will be significant. So, remember what we say at the end. You're stronger than you realize. It's important to recognize that you're capable of way more than you know. Keep doing things. To that comment, Chris likes to try new things that feel uncomfortable. You're capable more than you realize. Chris realizes it by trying things that make him feel a little scared at times or a little bit nervous or that are uncomfortable. And keep doing it and pushing it, and you'll realize just what you are capable of. And remember, if you're in a tough spot, keep moving. Your job is just to keep moving forward. If you need people to connect with, reach out to anyone in our community. You can reach out to me. It's in that movement that you end up coming to find those things that bring you joy, that bring you life, that make you come alive, etc. And if nothing else, we're going to see you hopefully in 6 weeks at NAFM. Remember, if you're coming to our party, go RSVP, because I'm working with the caterer and we're figuring out food and drink and all that kind of stuff. Also, tomorrow I'll be putting in the community. If you want to sponsor the event, we need to raise money for it to pay for it. So all that kind of jazz. So we'll throw it in the group, and you're welcome to sign up and be one of our sponsors and tied to a really cool time. So we'd love to have you. Chris, once again, thank you.
Thank you, Jason.
Food Service Power Plant Network, thank you. Lots of love, everybody. We'll see you next week. Have a good night.